bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like?
Well, it's over. It's finally over, guys. The second season has finally ended. This was the longest month and a half, I swear, ever. And I shared a little bit on Twitter my summation of this finale. And to sum it up, adultery, stupidity, cowardice, and a ship fest. That, like, those are 4 words that basically perfectly describe this. And there's so much stupid in this that I am actually shocked at that they were able to put so much ridiculousness into a single episode. Like, I thought I'd seen it. I thought it was bad before, and these last 2 episodes were just absolute utter dog doo-doo. But hi, everybody. So no stick.
All the lore breaking and stuff aside, it's still stupid.
Yeah, it's not a good show.
It breaks
its own continuity.
Oh yeah.
Nothing makes sense. I am Hi King Feanor coming in, Alpha Chad coming in and crushing it right out the gate. Says, sup guys, did you see the showrunners came out and said they wanted the Balrog to be a metaphor for climate change? Laughing my ass. Yes, we're gonna go over that article in just a minute.
There was more than that. There was like January.
There's so much in there.
January 6th.
Yep. It's all bad. It's all very, 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 very bad. Not a good time. Not a good time at all for anybody.
Climate change underground, people. Underground.
Deep underground. And it has to do with, and like I said, we're gonna talk about it, but it has to do with, they were like, well, because it happens gradually and then it happens all at once. And you're just like, bro, what? Like,
yeah,
stop speaking. How are you in charge of the most expensive show ever made? How many kill? So I still maintain that it was the mud. By the way, last week's stream absolutely got obliterated and annihilated. They demonetized the ever-loving bejesus out of that. But I still maintain that it was when that horse fell into that mud that horse died. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, you're probably right, because they were rushing towards a forest.
Yep.
Which is
like cavalry in woods is just stupid. Like, it's just stupid. There is no reason for it. There's no excuse for it. Like, whoever they clearly have no military what are they called? Advisor or like tactician advisor or anything like that, because none of this stuff makes sense. You don't put cavalry in the woods. Like, that is a death trap. They're not effective.
It's not just the cavalry, try riding a horse at full speed into a forest just alone.
Yeah.
That's stupid by itself, because roots and everything, you're asking for the horse to break its legs.
Yep. So you've got them riding it. Like, last episode was atrocious, like borderline demonic, honestly, and so horrifically lore breaking that I am actually shocked. I am actually genuinely shocked that these people think they deserve a season 3. They haven't started the script yet. Oh, and good news, we talked about this the week before and last week. Apparently, we're getting two soap opera writers to help write this travesty of a show. So it's going to be even more ridiculous. I forget where they're from. I do know.
House of the Dragon
Uh-huh.
did something similar. They hired one of the writers from Orange is the New Black to help with season 2, and there's nothing left of the source material at this point.
No, no, like there never was. They don't care. They do not care. The Crown. That's what it is. They've allegedly hired writers from The Crown, which is a primetime soap opera for any of you that haven't been following. Like, yes, it's loosely based on Queen Elizabeth II and like everything surrounding it, but it's a drama. It is a soap opera drama in prime time. And these people just need to admit that they watch and like soap operas. It's like, oh, I don't watch that Days of Our Lives or that As the World Turns. I don't watch any of that. I'm too good for soap opera. Like, nah, like that's literally what you are watching, except you're watching the CW budget version of it. How this is the most expensive television show ever made, I will never understand. To give you guys here, I'll let you know some of my notes. So right here, I say, Sauron is torture prawning Celebrimbor. Like you can't tell me. You know what I mean? When he's killing Celebrimbor, but spoilers, Celebrimbor dies. Anybody that didn't know that, I don't know what you're doing here. But like 100%, that was very overt. It was very overt. So you had that. Then Sauron cries.
Yeah, that was a big no-no.
Yeah. So Sauron cries as he is torturing Celebrimbor. After he's done torturing and killing Celebrimbor, after what I wrote is stuck him like a pig right in the gut. Similar to where Frodo got stabbed. When we watched the Jackson trilogy, but of course he had the mithril on. Celebrimbor obviously did not.
It's actually a little bit of a plot hole in the Jackson movies.
Shh, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I will take the tiny plot holes or even the big ones in the Jackson trilogy movies over whatever this absolute tripe is.
Hell yes.
But outside of any of that, like what this episode, there were so many problems with this episode. First of all, it was boring. Nothing happened that we didn't already know. And people think I'm kidding, but I literally wrote like Gandalf becomes Rey, and I will show you exactly what I mean. Okay? I am not kidding when I say this. You guys remember that scene in Last Jedi or whatever? Well, prepare yourselves. Prepare thyselves. Okay, look. Oh, the rock. Oh, I'm going to get nailed. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Okay, here, let's try this. Ta-da. He drops all the rocks, right? Well, Gandalf! Not Gandalf, really, but... Oh, look! He literally becomes Rey. With the rocks. They literally pulled this from Star Wars. Like...
Yeah.
It doesn't have a staff, doesn't have his powers, but by golly, he is going to stop them rocks from crushing people. Yeah. And I am all the wizards. Honest to God, that's this scene. That is what's happening.
Did you see when they ripped off Game of Thrones? They just pretty much copied a scene. This was in season 1, though.
They ripped off everything.
I can send you a picture of both.
I believe you. You can absolutely do that. Oh yeah, Adar. Okay, again, I had to start off last week saying I was wrong. Miranda or Mirandera or whatever her name is, I don't care. Was not Celebrian, which would have actually made sense. God forbid these writers have any kind of logic. Adar, I was also wrong. Unless he somehow survived his Caesaring like he did to Sauron. He is not Celeborn. But boy, howdy, did they lean into him being Celeborn. So, like, he's standing here, right? He's got Nenya on. So I was half right. He put on Nenya, and it healed him. He de-orked. He de-uricked. Okay? He went back to his elven form. And then he's like, well, he goes, it seems some scars can be healed. And he was like, the last time I looked like this, I went by a different name. And she's like, what was your name? And he goes, it doesn't matter. It was a name given to me. Adar is the name that I earned. They leaned so heavy into him being Celeborn because it's the only thing that makes sense. So now, because he's been Caesared, unless he somehow miraculously survived, like 100 stabbing, he dead. So now the only character that it would have made any sense to be Celeborn is dead. So Celeborn is just farting off somewhere.
You know what else that did?
Celebrian is nowhere to be found. She and Elrond are already supposed to have met because he is now Eregion. Like, because if Eregion just fell, so Eregion was just sacked, and what Elrond and Celeborn did was they met up to do a tactical retreat, saved a whole bunch of elves' lives. Yes, Eregion fell and Celebrimbor died, but Celeborn and Elrond were able to make it to the Dell, where Elrond founded Rivendell. Like, he and Celebrian are already supposed to be like a thing. They've already secretly been seeing each other for like hundreds of years at this point. Celeborn and Galadriel are like 100% married at this point. They've already had Celebrian. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So now the one actress that it would have made somewhat sense to be Celebrian, and the one actor that it would have made sense somewhat to be Celeborn, they've killed both of them off. One got thrown off of the ramparts last episode, and then beheaded by an orc. That was not Celebrian. That was Miranda. And now Adar, whose elvish name you don't get to know, they leaned hard into that. I really thought that they were gonna, like, it's the only thing that makes logical sense within their story. Now, I mean, you know what? They're just like, F our story, F it, and F the Tolkien lore. We never followed it anyway. It's all bad. It's all bad things. High King Feanor.
You know what else it did?
Huh?
If her ring can heal people like that, basically heal the dark side in them, right? She could have fixed Boromir.
Bro.
In Lorien and in the Lord of the Rings.
Nope. Not even gonna go. We'll touch on that. Don't you worry. High King Feanor coming in like an alpha Chad once again for $5 says there's a couple of TLJ ripoffs in this episode. The last scene. Remember the 12 people on the Falcon? Now we have the 12 people at Imlad. Oh.
Yeah.
Imladris. Yes. No, they ripped off like not even good Star Wars. They ripped off Disney Star Wars. Disney Star Wars is what they ripped off. And he like very clearly his hair could have gone back to a different color. Like the fact that Nenya is a pinky ring is freaking hilarious. But here is Morgoth's crown. It's just chilling on a rock. He's not even trying to hide it. And then then Sauron shows up, right? So she puts the ring on. She's got the other 9 just chilling in her vest. Okay? He takes it off, and his scars start to kind of come back, right? They're like, oh no, your most loyal servant. Literally, et tu brute.
That scene, all of a sudden the orcs give a shit about their injured.
Yeah. That didn't like
red flag.
Oh, look, he got Caesared. And she just stands there. She's like, ooh. Commander Galadriel. of the northern armies, badass Mamba Jahamba girls get it done. She just stands there with this look on her face as he gets stabbed. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only 9 orcs here. There's only 9 orcs. She could have easily dispatched them. We've seen her do it. There's the crown. That's not Morgoth's crown, by the way. That's absolutely pathetic. So there's not Sauron. Okay. By the way, everything is her fault. Absolutely everything is her fault. 100,000 million billion %. It's utterly ridiculous. So now Sauron's has Morgoth's crown, even though that's not it. Like, what is this? She looks. I don't even know.
It looks like she's read the script for the first time.
Right? I have no idea what this face even is. And also, why is she not healing? Like, she's got Nenya back on. She should be super healing. And she just stands here frozen while he walks around her. And she continues to watch as Adar, the man she just agreed to take down Sauron with, she watches 9 orcs stab him to death. Look at that. That man is not coming back.
The final stab, a dagger went straight through plate mail.
Yes, it did.
That has happened a lot on this show. Plate mails do nothing. You can stab through them like it's
plot
paper.
armor. Plot armor does more than actual armor in this show.
Yeah.
It's obscene.
Armors do nothing.
No, look at this. Like, we're talking. Okay, so let me see if I can count these. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. His hand's kind of in the way, but I'm sure like there's 13.
Yeah.
There, I can count 14. His plate mail has 14 punctures in it.
Yeah, from orcish daggers which are not high quality.
Now, you know, the second in command that everybody knew he was going to betray him, of course, betrays him, pulls out his dagger.
Stabs straight through the plate mail like it's arm, like it's paper.
She still has this look on her face of utter confusion.
Yeah. She's thinking, I need a dagger like that.
She just stands there, guys.
Yeah.
She, like, I don't even know. Hold on. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 110, 105, 100. Okay. 105 seconds. 105. So almost 2 full minutes. Okay. So we'll say this is. Oh, wait. Where's the first stab? Okay. Here's the first stab when he sits up and he's like, it's too late. So here's the first stab. And then we skip by 5 seconds. Ready? 5. So there's her first. That's her. This is her look of shock horror, guys. This is her look of shock horror.
This is where she should have turned around and grabbed the crown and ran.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 seconds before Sauron showed up, guys. 30 seconds. Okay?
Yeah, and
35,
showed up from where?
40, 45, 50, 55, 60. We're at a full minute. 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100 seconds. He's just got done. You can see now the gaping hole right here. 100 seconds. Almost 2 full minutes. Almost 2 full minutes. We're 20 seconds shy of 2 minutes. So a minute and a half. Over a minute and a half. She stood there and watched. Because here's dainty Sauron. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm sorry. There's 11. I miscounted before. 11 orcs. She took out an entire squad of orcs, but now she suddenly can't move.
Yeah.
What an utter useless, like, look at this. And then she watches. She just stands there as Sauron tells them to go raise the city. And then they run off. She doesn't run up and try and save Adar. She doesn't like grab his hand.
She just stands like that.
Yeah, she just stands there. Also, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what is going on here, but this is not flattering. Like,
and when did she get cleaned?
At
least dirty as hell
she was
a few minutes ago.
So at least Jackson's elves, when they went into battle, they still looked regal. Like they looked like regal warriors. I don't know what's going on here. It's like it's so the chainmail skirt. I everybody's like, oh, it's mithril. Like, it's not mithril. It absolutely is not mithril. But so she's got like, I don't know how many of you guys have ever gone like horse riding. But she has one of those like, it almost looks, it really does almost look like one of those equestrian long sleeve t-shirts padding that you put underneath your, like under your clothes so that like, if you're training really hard or whatever, and if you're moving stuff around like your saddle or hay or whatever, it doesn't, your arms don't get tore up. Okay. So it's like she's got a puffy equestrian cover for her arms, and then a weird like vest, because this is not armor. Like, it's,
you know what it looks like? It looks like someone glued a shield onto her chest.
It kind of does. And then she's got like a weird skirt. It's a chainmail skirt. It serves absolutely no purpose because chainmail skirts were specifically for three reasons. Knights would wear them for ceremonies. Then you had your oh my gosh, I can't think. Your infantry would have them so that they had protection around their legs. Okay, not your cavalry. Your cavalry were much lighter, obviously, because you don't want to break the horse's back. And then the third reason that you would have a chainmail skirt is because you are literally fitting chainmail to yourself, and so you're measuring up the links and you're making it actually fit you. This looks like she walked into an armory. She walked into an armory in her gray sweats, and just threw on some like an oversized chainmail and a vest.
She looks like she's unconfidently showing up to a job interview.
I think even that's giving her too much credit. How is his hair better than her hair? This is frustrating. Like, how is his hair better than her hair?
Yeah, he's actually the only one who looks like an elf.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah.
And even that's pushing it because he doesn't even really look like an elf. It makes me so angry. So let's see. We go back to the very beginning. At the very beginning, Doran the Third charges a Balrog because reasons. And like literally that's it. And he dies, by the way. So he breaks through this wall and he's like, you've got to put the ring on so you can see our mountain. And he's like, you told me that it wasn't our mountain. And he was like, with these rings, it could be. And you're like, bro, what?
So it isn't already?
It's not their mountain, apparently. And then the Balrog, for like the fourth time, wakes up and comes a knocking. And then it blows Doran the Fourth back, who's not even supposed to be here. Blows him back. King gets up, grabs his axe. Okay, he just woke this thing up, and then for no reason charges the. Oh, this.
Yeah, it was so stupid because he's kind of sacrificing himself, right? And all he had to do is run back through the tunnel because the Balrog's not big enough to follow. But if you look at the tunnel opening from this angle, it's like 10 times bigger than it was from the front, right?
Yeah.
And
this is like the cavernous opening.
It's completely pointless. And the Balrog doesn't even wake up until year 1980 in the Third Age. So it's like
this is
3,000 years too early.
This show, all it cared about were stuff like stills. It wanted epic sweeping shots. We're gonna get to the closing, like the end of this episode. Absolute freaking catastrophe. Sauron does the exact same thing to Galadriel in this episode that he did in the finale of season 1. They're copying their own work that was crap from season 1. So all they want are like epic stills. They want to be like, oh my gosh, look at the cinematography. Like this is where the money is going. These are the money shots. It's like, bruh, it's empty. It's void. It's meaningless. Like if you can't have,
it's a member berry.
If there is nothing substantial around this, it doesn't do anything. It's it's what is it? The lights on, but nobody's home. Pretty face, but air in the head. Like nothing of any kind of substance. So
and if you look at the timeline, actually having the Balrog show up at that time is kind of like having if you do a TV show about 9/11 and the Roman Empire attacks.
Yeah, no,
because that would be a compatible time.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not only is it a destruction of Tolkien's lore and Tolkien's timeline, but it also destroys continuity within their own show. Because the idea, so this is like the fourth time that the Balrog has woken up. And like this is supposed to, so Durin the Fourth is like run, because you're trying trying to give you a call back to when they were on the bridge. The Fellowship was on the bridge, and now he is going and attacking the Balrog. So you're supposed to get Gandalf feelings. Okay,
and of course his wife shows up and drags him off, like Boromir dragged Frodo off. Right?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Like, so
it's it
beat for beat is what they tried to do with that. And then, oh my gosh, they've got, Poppy or whatever her name is, female Sam at the end. She's like, some things that are lost are just lost and you can't ever get them back. So the only thing you can do is build anew. Great. Scrap this show because it's absolutely lost. Fire everybody and just start over. Like, or you know what? Better yet, don't do anything with it smart enough. You are not capable enough. You are out of your depth. You are out of your league. Holy crap, Super Based with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Super Based. You are a freaking scholar and a gentleman. I appreciate you.
Is it 5 for the Dwarven Kings?
5 for the Dwarven Kings. 5, very well. 5 for the Dwarven Kings. But like,
did you spot in the previous episode when they just rewrote Sam's speech from the Two Towers?
I bitched about that for 15 minutes last week. If we get on that again, oh my god.
No, I was just asking.
Oh yeah, no, like
it's a pattern.
Yes, there's too much stupid in this episode to reference last week's episode. And like I said at the beginning, my stream from last week 100% got dinged. So by all means, it's there, but my mouth is open. So this is when Gandalf goes full Ray.
To Saruman.
Yeah, there's Saruman.
Who is supposed to be a good man up until the events of the Lord of the Rings, really.
Yep.
Where he gets corrupted.
Yes, he gets corrupted through fear. Because he's scared. He's like, we can't beat Sauron, so it's better to join him because we have no other way. Because he was looking into the Palantir and he could only see certain outcomes, and none of them were in his favor. So
and I would have paid money to have been able to hear what Christopher Lee thought of this.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness.
I don't think he would have been polite.
I don't think he would have either. So Gandalf goes full Ray. Like, this is almost identical to the scene with Ray making the rocks float.
It's a template.
It is. It's literally it is like, hey, so for anybody that thinks that I am exaggerating,
they actually copied it in the Kenobi show as well.
Yes, they did. Let me see if I can find it.
It's become a template.
Here we go.
Lift rocks.
Lift rock. Be strong. Rawr, rawr. All right, folks. Are you ready? You ready? I kid thee not. There's the side-by-side shot.
Yeah.
They darkened it.
I put another one in the private chat that you can compare from. They've done similar things before. Just I found 2 pictures.
Yeah. Okay, so There's this one, and then they've ripped off this ice wall several times. Yeah,
identical.
Yeah, it's all bad. There's nothing. There's not anything of substance in this show. It doesn't even track with itself. It doesn't make any sense. There's no sense of scale. There's no sense of time. There's no sense of urgency. It's all bad. It is all bad. Bad.
Here's another copy another issue contradiction. In season 1, when they're climbing that wall, Galadriel's scared shitless of falling down, right?
Yeah.
In this episode, she falls down a
kilometer. No. She doesn't fall. She doesn't fall. Don't make it sound like she accidentally. She backflipped.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip some more. By the way, she's getting her butt kicked by Sauron, and once again.
And then gets mortally injured, and then she stands up and forgets about the injury.
By the way, wouldn't the third spike be like going through her other it should be like right here, shouldn't it? Based on where the rest of these are, she should have 2 puncture wounds from this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But hold on. How is he? Okay, I will say this about Charlie Vickers and the guy who plays Adar. Now I can't think of his name. They're the only ones in this entire show that actually act. Like, even Celebrimbor, not like, I've seen him in other stuff. I don't know why he can't actually act in this except to blither and whine and cry.
He's doing what the directors are telling him to do.
I am aware, but it's just terrible. Like, Vickers and Sam Hazeldine, that's who it is. Like, they're the only ones that have anything that are actually acting in character. So this stupid wench falls face first after getting stabbed by what is supposed to be Morgoth's crown. There's no way. That thing would be massive. Okay? And then she rolls over. Now, look. Yeah, she got stabbed twice. Look at that. 2 punctures. Yeah. Blood on his crown. So now he has elven royalty blood on his crown. Like, she rolls over. There's the 9. So, again, this stupid wench, she's the reason Adar died. She literally walked up to Adar and she's like, I have what Sauron wants. Like, let's go defeat him together. And I'm like, this bitch just can't keep her mouth shut. Last episode or 2 episodes ago, she told Adar everything that he needed to know so that he could lay siege to Eregion. And then he did. Like, she's not bleeding. And, like, you're absolutely right, Jeremiah. She's not bleeding at all. Nothing. That's easily. Look at the size of those spikes. Look at Drew. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. Look at that. That is easily 4 inches in. That's easily
it's the same length as the daggers that stabbed Adar.
Yeah, we're talking a good 3 to 4 inches of blade, just slicing into her. Twice, 2 of these suckers got her, and there is not. Oh, look, there's I see it. Look, there it is. There's a little trickle of blood going the wrong way.
Check the dirt on her and then compare it to the next scene when she stands up.
When she stands up.
She's cleaned.
Yep. I would say we could blame Nenya for that, but oh god, we get such a good face. Hold on. It's in my thumbnail. Okay, so now the boys are gonna fight back because the dwarves finally showed up and they're all like, Durin is in mourning.
They walked in 1 day.
Less than that. Less than a day. Like
they don't have horses.
There's no sense of scale. Zero sense of scale. Right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, try to contain your excitement because the man, the myth, the legend, High King Feanor has joined us. He has deigned.
What's up, guys?
What is up?
What's up? Can you guys hear me all right? I'm on my phone right now, so.
Oh, bro, yeah, you sound good. You kind of sound like you're talking through a cone, but otherwise.
Oh, do I really?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's super good.
Okay, good.
Can hear you just fine, so you're good.
Awesome. Awesome.
We're
at my favorite part of the show.
This I don't even know how he got here because Durin was like, "Okay, stand down." Like he didn't even need the army to stay. He just went. He the Balrog was awoken again anyway, and now he's like, okay, go ahead, go. Like, we're gonna delay you by a day and a half so that they can slaughter 2/3 of the elves, and then you can go save them.
It also explains why the Balrog's grumpy. They keep waking him up every day.
Yeah, right. But so here we are. First and foremost, we'll do this really quick. Our new guest, High King Feanor. If you guys are not following him on Twitter, he is top-notch stuff. He's always got a pithy comeback, and he knows his shit. So, good sir, how are you doing?
I am doing quite well. I'm tired, but I'm doing quite well. This episode, good Lord. It's just, oh man, what are you gonna do? So hold on, I just want to touch on something from a little bit ago about the Balrog.
Oh God.
So am I supposed to believe that that the Balrog, the dwarves just buried that thing under the mountain, and they're just gonna forget about it for the next 3,000 years?
Yes, apparently. During the here, we'll go back to the still, that epic still, that still that they wanted. Let's go back to.
Well, they forgot about him 5 minutes later.
Yeah, they did.
It's not like, send people down and seal the caves. There's a Balrog. No, it's just, the king's dead.
Yep.
Don't remember what killed him, but he's gone.
We just wanted, they just needed this epic still right here. But yes, their king literally charged the Balrog and then apparently sent it down into the abyss for 3,000 years. And they just forgot about it.
So I'm not defending the show on this, okay? But just a little lore. So in the first age, there was a giant battle called the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. Mm-hmm. And the dwarves participated in this battle. And the dwarves fought the father of dragons, whose name was Glaurung. He's this giant serpent dragon, massive thing. And one of the dwarves, the dwarven king Azaghal, he managed to wound Glaurung. But that was an army of dwarves, and they were all pre-fitted with armor specifically to withstand dragon fire. Yep. Here you have an old king who's wearing just his everyday, skivvies, rolling up on a Balrog. What are we doing?
Yes. So to give you guys an idea, all right, Morgoth, who we've not seen at all in this show, and thank God for small mercies, I guess. So right. Morgoth was fighting this primordial creature called, and if I say it wrong, you can snipe me for it, but Ungoliant. All right. Now, the Ungoliant is the ancestor of Shelob, which is why there should not be a baby Shelob, because Shelob was in Mordor before Sauron ever got there. He literally built Mordor. He got to Mordor, he did his thing, and he left Shelob alone. Ungoliant was about to destroy Morgoth. He screamed, and 9 Balrogs showed up to help him, and one of them survived. They took on Ungoliant, and one survived.
No, hold on. Can I correct you?
Yes, you can. Okay,
so according to Tolkien lore, there was at least, I want to say it was 7 Balrogs, at least. In the canon, it actually isn't recorded if any of the Balrogs died when they confronted Ungoliant. What we do know is that Ungoliant fled to a place called Nandungortheb. That's where she gave birth to Shelob and a whole host of other horrible spiders.
Well, I guess to be fair, then I should say after that, only one Balrog was ever seen after that battle, so it would be assumed that the other ones died, allegedly.
Well, can I correct you again?
No, you may not. I do not take correction. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so all the Balrogs that were killed in the first age were killed by elves. Gothmog, Lord of the Balrogs, was killed by Ecthelion of the Fountain in Gondolin. Glorfindel killed one.
Yes.
And then
No,
the
don't
rest.
say his name. Okay, but you can't say Glorfindel's name
but-
because they'll bring him into this show and destroy him.
Oh,
And
it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if I say his name. They're already going to do that. But all the rest of them, save Durin's Bane, who fled to Moria, all the rest of them died in the War of Wrath, the war that ultimately took Morgoth down.
Yes.
Now, something about Shelob, because you brought the Shelob thing, and this needs to be made more like prominent. I kind of wish Nerdrotic touched on this a little bit. I really wish Gary would have. But so you know how Isildur in this show gets kidnapped by Shelob, essentially. Look, he's in Shelob.
Baby Shelob.
Yeah,
baby
yeah. Hold on. It gets better than this. Okay, so he's in Shelob's lair, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the city that Isildur founds in the Third Age, or in the Second Age? Excuse me.
Oh, I was going to say he doesn't found anything in the Third Age.
Yeah, he founds the city of Minas Ithil, which later becomes Minas Morgul, which is literally right next to Shelob's lair. Why would Isildur build a giant ass city next to a bunch of man-eating spiders?
Excellent points.
Because see, here's the thing. Because remember, they said in this episode they said it like 4 times. Because Celebrimbor said it right last episode, and they thought that line, much like, do you know why a ship floats and a rock sinks? And they kept repeating that line. They also keep repeating the sea is always right. Because strength doesn't defeat darkness. Only light defeats darkness. So let's build a city of light and we'll destroy the darkness. That's why they did it. Bro, I have no idea. I'm totally
I mean, I mean, okay, in order for us to actually comprehend.
That's probably exactly what happened. I was like, the sad thing is that's probably exactly what they thought.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. You're probably hit the nail right on the head with that. And it's like there's so many of those decisions. I mean, this Balrog one is very, very similar. It's like, okay, how does this affect because they're never gonna unless they bring in like a whole new team and totally like scrap all this. They're never gonna be able to even remotely accurately portray the source material.
Yeah, because here's my thing. So the War of Wrath, I'm so jacked up on. That's the other thing. They've condensed this timeline down so much. I don't actually know how long ago the War of Wrath would have been, because Anatar, who is, as we know, Sauron, and just I can't believe they did Halbrand and then Anatar. Anyway, we'll touch on that in a second if we want to. But so Anatar literally was in Eregion for hundreds of years before they started forging the rings. And then it took hundreds of more years for the rings to be forged. And then, and if anybody is curious, for Sauron to be inside of Eregion when it gets sieged, the whole reason that he came at Eregion is because he found out about the 3 elven rings that Celebrimbor made in secret. And the fact that, did you see, okay, I'm going to make you guys really mad. We're going to just touch on this article really quick.
Oh, I've seen this. Yep, I've seen this.
The stranger's identity revealed to Galadriel's fight, and whether Sauron and Celebrimbor were lovers. I don't know if you guys can read that. Sorry, I'll blow it way up. Literally.
So he was the Lord of Celebrimbor's ring?
Oh, yeah. Gross. Stop. Does anybody, I don't think, these people must not have, they don't know the lore, because for anybody that's curious, Celebrimbor had a family. Sauron murdered them. He murdered them. And then he killed Celebrimbor. This is I hate shippers. I hate shippers.
Yeah, that's exactly who this show is made for. All the fat fangirl shippers and all the weird people out there who want to see all their queer allegory in Tolkien. That's those people. It was made for those people. And that's the reason why it's failing. Is because these are the same people. These are the same people who cried and bitched and moaned about the Acolyte, okay? It's the exact same group of people.
Yes.
And
it's the Raylos.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
It's the Reylos are evolving and they're just like they're mutating. But like, listen to this.
They also wanted Ciri and Geralt to be in a relationship in The Witcher.
No, nope, not touching that. I can't say that word on here, but maps belong on a wall. Showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay answered Hollywood Reporter's questions about the 8th and final episode, which brings a close to a more smartly paced and visually lavish second season that has continued to perform well in the ratings for Amazon. No, it hasn't. It started below season 1 and it never recovered. This isn't performing well. These people are so full of crap. It's amazing. And so I was relieved you didn't stick with Grand Elf because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be some weird legally differentiated Kirkland version of Gandalf. Was this a character you had rights to all along, or was this reveal always planned? And then Payne is like, yeah, we've had the rights to him from the beginning, and certainly we had leanings in terms of who we suspected the stranger was going to become. Do you understand that means they did a 2-season mystery box? A 2-season mystery box.
Which everyone knew the ending to.
Everybody knew the ending too. By the way, I'm so sorry. I blew past this. Maza, you dog. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. You are too kind, good sir. But, so we already knew who it was. But they thought that this would be... Okay, here we go. And there's a couple of reasons why we did the mystery box crap. 1, Gandalf has a strangely strong relationship with halflings. He's a wizard who loves to hang out in the Shire. Why? Because that's how Tolkien wrote him, god dang it. And we thought, well, if at one point in his existence he had vulnerably come to Middle-earth in this challenging time with no memory of who he was, and he had been found by ancestors of the hobbits and they helped him, that would be a thing he would never forget. First of all, there's no wizards in this. Like, he's not supposed to be here in the Second Age, for one.
The wizards show up in year 1000. Actually, in the Third Age, I believe, all of them at once.
2, that like 2. So, like I said, he's not even supposed to be in the Second Age.
No.
2, Harfoot's like they couldn't say the word hobbits, so they just used other types. I'm so upset for so many reasons. Because they clearly don't know the lore at all. And they were, look at this. Like, why does he love to hang out in the Shire? Well, we thought, never mind what Tolkien wrote. Never mind what Tolkien said. Okay? If at one point in his existence, like we thought, if he at one point in his existence vulnerably came to Middle-earth. No, bitch. He's an angel. Like, he is the equivalent of an angel. Like, there was no vulnerability. There was no confusion. There was no nothing. The reason that he loved hobbits is because sorry, I cut out. The reason that he loved hobbits was because it's literally like they say it like if more people valued food and friendship, like the world would be a better place. Like the way the hobbits live is something that Gandalf saw as being worth protecting and worth cherishing.
He's actually a little bit of a stand-in for Tolkien in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was all for as well.
Yes, but God forbid.
And then you have Saruman being all about industry.
Yes, exactly. We see this character cross his path. So and here's their second reason. Oh my. See, I got so angry the page jumped. We see this character cross his paths with not Tom Bombadil and has a relationship in which he can learn his power as a wizard. He doesn't need to learn his power as, Gandalf in the books, right before he's about to leave Middle-earth, the last thing he does is to say, before I leave, I'm going to hang out with Tom Bombadil and I have some questions I need to ask him. And usually when you're leaving a place, you don't go meet a new person you've never talked to before. You hang out with your friends. We talked about our other options. There were blue wizards who were around in the north during the Second Age who went to the east. This just felt like the story that wanted to be told.
Did you guys notice how they basically, Tom Bombadil isn't really Tom Bombadil in the show? No. He's Hagrid from Harry Potter with the same type of hut. And
yes, he lives in a hut.
The Whomping Willow is nearby, right?
Yeah, he takes care of he talks to the stuff and he takes care of the trees and yes, it was not lost on me that they ripped off
Same voice
Hagrid.
too.
Yep. Also,
good actor though. Rory Kinnear is,
all right, computer, stop it.
Good.
Also, we love this character. The idea of an earlier version of Gandalf on a journey of self-discovery felt like really fertile ground. It felt like really fertile ground, guys.
He had all the discovery already on board when he arrived in Middle-earth.
Right. It's
here's how they justify so I'll let you gather your thoughts, High King Feanor. Here's their justification for why they had Gandalf basically be a comatose patient. Because when he comes back as Gandalf the White, he's discombobulated for a few minutes, but this time, not knowing who he was and not knowing his powers for such a long time, I was wondering what the sort of internal explanation for that was. Those details we might reveal as the story continues to go forward, but he did have an identity before that moment in the crater.
Oh, so they might do it, even though if they don't do it, it'll just look more stupid.
Yep. And here we go. And the Dark Wizard reminded me of Saruman, but since Gandalf doesn't think of Saruman as a Dark Wizard in Lord of the Rings, I'm presuming it's not him. And then McKay says, I think that's a very safe presumption. We know that in the history of Middle-earth, some wizards become corrupted, so there is precedent for this. But that doesn't mean it's the same guy. As you say, it wouldn't actually make sense for it to be Saruman. Nothing in this show makes sense.
Well, then it has to be Radagast or one of the two blue ones.
It's a blue wizard. It's a blue wizard. For sure.
You know what? I think they are going to do Saruman. They're going to do some stupid nonsense where it's like he's going to be like. I was listening to Open Bar today, and I think Mahler hit the nail right on the head. He was like, "No, they're going to do it in season 3 or 4, where he's going to come out and be like, my name is Saruman," and everybody clapped.
Yeah, and they've also given him Saruman lines.
I can't believe that this show is getting a 3rd season. Like, it just blows my mind. I know it's a vanity project, and I know that Pride
they got 3 right off the bat.
No, the 3rd season hasn't even been written yet. And they contracted, they contracted for 5. They paid for 5. We're getting 5. Like, come hell or high water, I'm pretty sure Bezos would have to die before.
See, with the way they're talking about the 3rd season, it isn't like the first 2, where it's like, yeah, we've already started production. There's a lot of hesitancy in the things that they are saying about it, and it's like,
script.
And I'll tell you something right now. If they cancel Rings of Power, oh boy! If you guys thought the meltdown from all the shills and all the shippers and all that was crazy with the Acolyte, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It's gonna be biblical. And
it'll be biblical, and I will be laughing my butt off the whole time. So Amazon, please.
I think they're gonna cancel the Wheel of Time before that.
Oh, that's oh my god, the Wheel of Time. Like, that's not even on anybody's radar. It's not even a blip. Okay, so let's talk about Celebrimbor.
It's actually dumber.
Oh, it is.
Believe it or not.
So let's talk about Celebrimbor and Sauron and Atar stuff, because that was great. That's not what oh my god, computer. That's not what I would use. How did you plot the final lap of their deteriorating relationship? It was literal for anybody that hasn't seen it. Listen, anybody that knows me knows that I like, dude, smut's not my stuff, but you can't tell me that wasn't torture prawn. That 100% was torture prawn. Like, it was there for shock value. It's the same shit they did with Game of Thrones. They just added shock value and nudity just to, make people go wow in reaction videos.
Well, and here's the thing too, right? It canonically, Sauron does torture Celebrimbor for the location of the rings. Yeah. He does do that.
Oh no!
Now, but here's the thing, right? Here's the biggest problem with the show. The casting, number one. So the casting of Celebrimbor, okay? If they had casted Celebrimbor accurately, and the preceding events to that torture had been much more canonically accurate, we wouldn't be here talking about how much of a problem the torture porn was. We'd be like, okay, that isn't fitting with the canon. It blends in with the story and who Sauron's character is. Let's go. But that's not what happened.
No, not even a little bit.
It's also the way he did it. He just shot arrows in him. It's like very primitive for Sauron to do that.
And then
that is what happened.
No, the way
he killed him like that, but he didn't torture him with arrows, did he?
Well, what he did was it wasn't him specifically, but what he did in the canon is he had the orcs shoot him with a crap load of arrows, and then they hung him on a banner.
They hung him on a banner.
And I'm pretty sure he was dead at that point, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were showcasing
it was a
his body.
trophy.
No, but like my issue with this scene, so because here's the thing, it's like 5 arrows, and it's not like when you're trying to torture somebody for information, there are much more creative ways to do it, but 2, like the way that they went about this scene, it's just Sauron. The orcs are not even his yet. And as he's doing it, remember the previous episode, like the stuff leading up to this made it sadistic in a way that is not, it's corruptive of Tolkien's lore. Because if you remember in last week's episode, when Sauron is talking to Celebrimbor about what Morgoth did to him, right? And he's like, do you know what it's like to be tortured at the hands of a god? And Celebrimbor is like, I can't imagine. And he was like, it sort of became a game, and the pain became a reward. And now we're into, and then we jump into this, like, nasty, disgusting.
Which, by the way, that's not canonical either. Sauron joined Morgoth of his own free will because he wanted dominion. He kind of leading into his whole deal with the elves. He also was thirsty for more knowledge as well, which is why he decided to team up with Morgoth. Morgoth never tortured Sauron. That is not a thing that happened ever in the canon. Period. Plain simple. Nip it in the bud right now.
Well, he also never stabbed Galadriel through the shoulder and the stomach. So
he never had a sword fight with Galadriel. Galadriel at this point, when the siege of Eregion is taking place and Sauron is invading Eriador, she's already through Moria chilling with her daughter. Okay, that's what's happening.
Yep, they're already. She's actually. They're on their way to Lothlorien at this point.
Yep.
Like if they're not already there. So
they should be actually already there. Yeah.
They should be there because Celeborn stays at Rivendell to help Elrond, and then he joins them later in Lothlorien, and then they eventually take over. But like this whole thing, see, like listen to the way that they talk about him. When he first shows up as Anatar, he's in this biblical, angelic, prophetic costume. So they're trying to do the Luke Skywalker costume thing where he went from white to gray to black, and then at the end of Return of the Jedi, you see that white again. So this is something that's been building from the beginning. You're able to see it in so many aspects of production, even in the costuming of Sauron. When he first shows up as Anatar, he's in this I wouldn't call that biblical, angelic.
No, it looks like an English farmer from the 12th century.
So biblical, angelic, prophetic costume, these humble robes. That's not okay. But as it goes on, you see these black feathers on his costume, and you see him embracing the role of a dark tormentor more and more. And then Charlie Edwards gives such a heart-wrenching performance. I think we all can relate to having a lofty ambition, something you're trying to accomplish, and then something going wrong. He actually said that.
That's exactly what they're going through, but they don't realize it.
No, they absolutely 100% realize it. But
and the thing of go ahead. Sorry, Lady Gridman.
No, you're good. You're the guest. Go for it.
So what I was going to say is this is indicative of the entire problem of them ignoring the canon. So when canonically, and I'm sure people get sick of me rambling on about the canon, but
not here.
But when Sauron shows up at Eregion, nobody knows who he is. Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Elrond are all suspicious, but they don't know actually his real identity, right? Yeah. And he comes in, he's like, listen, he doesn't do any prophetic angelic BS, okay? He does not do that. He comes in and he says, hey, I'm an emissary from the Valar. I was once under the tutelage of Aule. I know a bunch of stuff. You guys seem eager for knowledge. Let me help you guys out, and I'll teach you guys some lore, some things, and you guys can create these wonderful things in to make the world more beautiful, because that's your goal. And the elves of Eregion, who were thirsty for knowledge, were like, cool, dude, come on in. And that's literally all he did. His deception was that he was incredibly nice to them. Yep. He had ulterior motives, but he was just being a nice guy. It even says it explicitly in the Silmarillion. It says they had much profit from his friendship in his teachings.
Yes, absolutely.
And then once the rings were forged, then he bounced off back to Mordor, saying, "All right, guys, good teaching you. Whatever, bye bye." And then he went and made the One Ring, and that's when the went. Well, Celebrimbor made the 3 rings before Sauron made the 1, because he was a little bit like, something's not right. And then once Sauron put on the One Ring, the elves were made aware of him, thus kicking off the war. The reason why Celebrimbor gets duped in this show in quote unquote Sauron, what's the word I'm looking for? Tricks him, is because Celebrimbor in this show is an absolute moron. Yes. Okay, they've written this character to be stupid.
Yep.
There's no trickery, there's no deception from Sauron. Celebrimbor in this show is just a flippin' idiot.
Yep. Greatest of elven smiths doesn't know what an alloy is. Like,
don't get me started on that.
They've literally they are not smart enough. They are not smart enough to adapt Tolkien's work, so they take bits and pieces. And they're like, oh, look, member berries. Oh, look, Celebrimbor is getting shot with arrows. It was way more than 5 arrows, and it wasn't Sauron that was shooting him. And he certainly wasn't, like, lecturing him about, how pain is a reward. Like, it's just creepy. It comes off as these thirsty wine-aunts who are in their 40s and 50s that chose not to have children. They chose not to get married. Right. I'm not talking about I know plenty of fantastic women who they've never found a husband. Like it just didn't happen for them. And or women who got married and couldn't conceive. I'm obviously not talking about those women. I'm talking about the miserable land whales who decided to party and drink their lives away for 2.5 decades. Then they hit 40 or 45, and they were like, oh, shoot, now I can't because I've wasted my life, and I'm, nobody thinks I'm attractive, even though I'm all this hot stuff. Well, I'm just going to make younger girls' lives miserable and tell them men ain't worth shit, so that if I can't be happy, nobody deserves to be happy. Those are the women I'm talking about. These thirsty, touch-starved, self-inflicting wound, land whale wine aunts who think they know better than everybody and are just perpetually angry. That's who wrote this. That's who this is for.
It's the kind of women who read 50 Shades of Grey. That's who it's for. God,
that is
You're right.
7th comparison that I've heard to that show / books. I've never read or watched them, but I remember a time it's just like the Twilight stuff. I've never read it, I've never watched it, but you were pseudo aware of it because it was everywhere. It permeated everything. It was the same thing with that 50 Shades of Grey crap. It was everywhere. And when we're talking about this, being lore breaking, the fact that Sauron, it's straight out of a smut book. His lines to Galadriel, where he was like, I would have made the world, however he says it, but it's I would have made the world crawl on its knees to worship the light of their queen. I was like, bro, that's out of some YA. That is some Twilight YA BS. This is not Sauron. I don't know who wrote this. I don't know why this was allowed in, but this is some YA BS.
Well, and here's the thing, right? I posted a tweet about this. I was like, listen, it's so stupid simple how to write Anatar. You just write him, because normie audiences who've never read the books are going to be completely unaware of who this character is. So what you do is you don't give him any backstory. You don't show anything like that. You just set the show at that time period in Middle Earth with the elves and their forging, kind of develop that, right? And they're like trying to create new things, this, that, and the other. And then just have Anatar show up and be nice for 3 seasons and leave. And then the final 2 seasons are where you realize, oh crap, like, you know, he's really this evil Satan dude. Like, you know, he forges the ring, everything like that. And then the last season you have the War of the Elves and Sauron. That's what you do. It is so stupid simple. Jeff Bezos, if you ever hear this, I'll take 50 grand for just doing one series for you. Okay. You don't have to pay me anything else. Okay. Sure as hell is a lot cheaper than what you're paying these bums that you got writing this tripe. And I will come in and I will fix this for you. Okay. Like, it's so easy.
It's not fixable. You can't fix it. They've already.
No. My thing is, like, I'll scrap all of Rings of Power. Like, guys, we're done with this. Like, I'm bringing in all new cast. I'm bringing in all new people to work on this. We're redoing this whole thing. Okay, and it's going to cost you a lot less money to do it too if I do it. So
no, because then they can't brag about it being the most expensive show ever made. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. All of these brag points. Like, have you noticed how much the marketing has changed from season 1 to this season? Yeah. Like, they've massively toned down the budget. They're, you know. Yeah. And like you've heard it, like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen it on X especially, but on social media, where they're like, most shows take 2 or 3 seasons to get off their feet. And I'm like, no, back in the 90s, you get canceled after a crappy pilot. Like, you got 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes to prove that you deserve these producers' money. You've got 30 minutes to prove that you deserve a season. And then you have that 1 season to prove that you deserve a second season. Like, that the 90s and the 2000s, 80s, even set, like, there was no goofing around. Like, it was either a yes or a no, and you could get canceled after a pilot. Heck, I forget what show it was, but a show literally got canceled halfway through the pilot. That's how bad it was doing. Halfway through the pilot.
That's why they did a double episode for the pilot, so they could release it on VHS as a movie if the show wasn't picked up.
Yeah.
I think the problem with these writers, though, is they haven't read the books. They watched the movies and then use the Wikipedia for the other stuff. So Wikipedia just gives you the hot points, right?
Yeah, the Wikipedia.
You don't get a lot of the stuff.
They literally changed Tolkienian lore on Tolkien, on the Tolkien Gateway. Like, they literally changed lore to give this show like scaffolding and support. Actual Tolkien lore.
Speaking of, I just want to throw this out there for people who might just be starting to get into Tolkien and they're looking for some like web resources. Do not go to the One Ring Wiki. Do not go to the Tolkien Gateway. There's 2 separate websites that you can go to that are pretty darn good. You can go to Encyclopedia of Arda, and there's another one called Henneth Annwn, ANNUN.net. And you can go to those, and they have A through Z. You can look up whatever you're needing to look up about characters, bios, anything like that. They're a nice little resource tool if you're ever like curious about something in Tolkien that you're not too sure about. But don't avoid Tolkien Gateway. Avoid the Middle Earth Wiki, One Ring Wiki, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah,
I've been hearing more and more about Tolkien Gateway getting co-opted. I've seen a little bit of evidence of it. I haven't seen them go the way of Wikipedia, but they have changed hearing some things.
Yeah, Tolkien Gateway has literally in real time, they've changed Tolkien lore to match up with the current episode of ROP. I think that happened on like this season, like episode 2 or whatever. And they did it again, or they did it the first time in season 1, and then they did it again this season. And it had to do with the Balrog. That was this what, I can't think of her name. The fake daughter.
Oh, Elendil's fake daughter?
Like, essentially what they said, I can't think of her name, But
I just remember her as Big Boob Lady. That's all I remember.
That's fair. Essentially what it said, if I remember correctly, was that Tolkien never said that Elendil never had a daughter. So because Tolkien didn't explicitly say she didn't exist, there's like a possibility that she could have existed.
That's the same shit they did with Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
But when The Mandalorian aired, right? I think it was Ryan and me were looking at the Wikipedia page because they have Jawas on other planets.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be native to Tatooine. Sure as hell, at the bottom of the Jawa page, it said Jawas can also be found on other planets. They just added it. And another thing they did was there was a link to an interview with Lucas where he said that, Kenobi and Vader never met between episode 3 and 4. That page got deleted overnight as we looked at it.
Yeah.
They got rid of it.
Well, the thing is, I posted up a tweet a while ago when all that Wikipedia stuff was going on. And I literally said, Tolkien Gateway, don't you dare do this. And Tolkien Gateway legit responded, and they're like, nah, we're not going to do this. And, it's starting to sound like they might be falling to the dark side, so to speak. But
yeah, they're being corrupted by Sauron and his influence, or Bezos in this case. But so Payne's talking about, and he's talking about Celebrimbor. God dang it, computer, what is going on with you? And there's his dying. All right, I obviously can't highlight anything because my computer loses its mind. There's his dying prophecy. I'm going to elf heaven, and you're going to be stuck with yourself in the hell of your own creation. That's. Ugh. I perceive that one ring alone will lead to your utter ruin. He's given Sauron exactly what he wants, which is to be master over this creation, but with bitter, dripping irony. Yes, that's your title, the Lord of the Rings, but you're actually enslaved to these rings that will ultimately destroy you.
How the hell would Celebrimbor know?
Because here is the thing. They think they're smarter than Tolkien, and they're like, well, there has to be a prophecy. There has to be a, no. So proven what Celebrimbor says is, I will be taken by the wind, which you cannot follow. So yeah, he's saying he's going to go to heaven, and Sauron is going to be stuck here, to die in hell. So these people obviously don't know shit about the lore.
The irony of that is that in the lore, Sauron was legit given an opportunity to repent after Morgoth fell.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And then, here we go. You mentioned their relationship might remind people of their own relationships, including romantic. Son of a. There were times watching Celebrimbor and Annatar, I wondered if there was some romantic or even sexual underpinning to what was going on there. Prepare yourselves for the most ridiculous responses. I can't use that word on YouTube, sorry. McKay.
Wait. Oh, no. I already read it. Oh, hell no, McKay. Oh, there's a tweet coming.
Says, I would say the nature of this relationship and its closeness and even the sexual tension in it has been a source of speculation by many fans. By many fans.
What fans?
For many years. No fans. None. Zero.
Well,
these people
Twilight fans, I guess.
About. Again, Celebrimbor had a family that Sauron literally murdered his family and then tortured and murdered him. Moving on. Anytime you're dealing with such powerful emotions as seduction and deception, I think it's easy for your imagination to go there. These people are sick. These people are sick in the head. They can't actually look at a situation.
Sex.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They can't look at a situation and not see sex. They can't.
It's because they've never seen sex in real life.
But then they're gonna have the nerve to say that Elrond and Galadriel's kiss last episode was not romantic. It's just wild. Well, at least that's what Elrond's actor said. So Payne responds with, I think you can see it from the beginning of their interactions together in the second episode. Sauron is pulling Celebrimbor in by saying, there are things I can only tell you, and you always saw me the way no one else could, and you're safe with me. You're seeing this intimate dance that Sauron is doing, so certainly we could see how people could take that a step further and ship them. He literally says, like, and ship them. They're feeding the shippers. They absolutely admit to feeding the shippers. And here's the other thing. They just said, they literally just said that they wrote Sauron as a groomer.
I'm just
Yeah, bro, tell me about it. That's why when you're like, can I correct you on the Balrog lore? No, absolutely not, because I'm just like JD Payne and Patrick McKay. I already know everything. Clearly, right? No, I absolutely want to be corrected, because I legit thought it was 9 Balrogs, and I thought all but one of them died fighting Ungoliant, because she freaking deuced out of there. And I'm trying to figure out how strong, like, do you understand? So let's say it was 7, right? Feanor. So let's say it was 7 Balrogs, guys. Ungoliant still managed to get away. Like, do you understand how, like, think of the power of just, I mean, obviously not from this show, but, like, if you've read the books or if you've read the lore, think about how powerful just one Balrog is. And now Ungoliant has taken on 7 of them and survived. Like, that's mind-blowing. And these guys are so stupid that they turned Shelob into a baby, and a Balrog is apparently going to go back to sleep for 3,000 years because King Durin III charged him with an axe. Like,
the power scaling in this show is so unbelievably screwed up. It's really bad, and it really all started in season 1, but really where it hit me that the power scaling was totally off was when Sauron got Caesared by orcs.
Oh my gosh. The very beginning.
And I'm just like, well, and then they screwed that up later in the scene, because it's like, okay, why didn't Sauron just use his mind control tisms to mind control all the orcs in the first episode? Like, hold on a minute. What's this nonsense? Hold up. And you know what? You know what the mind control crap was? That was their lazy way of getting out of actually trying to write a truly I don't even want to use this word, but it's the only word I can think of. I can think of a better word. A cunning, plotting Sauron.
Yeah.
They're not we're just gonna get. We're gonna give him mind control powers, and he's just gonna mind control everybody. It's like, stop.
He says the stupid line. He says the most ridiculous line of, "You think you were the only one who gave yourself over to my power?" And I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, you were around exactly like 6 Smiths, like maybe. Okay, and the thing that this show did, you saw Anatar leave and come back, but you never actually saw him interact with other elves. Right? So you're sitting here and you're like, okay, how is, like, under what authority, or like what, like, how could these elves possibly think that this man has any authority when they haven't heard from Celebrimbor? There's no seal, like, there's no decree, there's nothing, right? The last the other Smiths saw, Celebrimbor was having a meltdown in the forge. So, like, why would they just be taking this guy's word? They not only make Celebrimbor an absolute moron, they make all of the elves who are supposed to be wisest and fairest, they make them stupid too.
Talking. Oh, go ahead, Stig.
Here's a checkmate question, though. If Sauron has mind powers like that, right? Mm-hmm. Which we've shown that he has, why does he need the ring?
Because he wants more power.
Because he can already do that without the ring.
I don't know, because Galadriel 1v1'd him with her ring on, which looks utterly disgusting, by the way. Like, I cannot believe that's that's the ring that they ultimately went with. Like, it's a hideous design, and they 100% ripped that off from Neil Lane. I did a tweet about it last, like, when we got the reveal of the rings or whatever. They just take beautiful things and they make them ugly. And so if you guys don't know, so there's two, I actually have a video on it. It's called A Tale of Two Fan Sites, but so you have onering.net, which is torn, and then you have the onering.com, which is torque. Onering.com is super based. Onering.net is super shill.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
That's a site that forgot about the One Ring.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Well,
yes, when they were literally they were going down and they were like, oh, there was like, well, here's the rings, and then like everybody was like, bro, what about like the One Ring? You know, the one that rules them all.
The one that your website is
literally named for. Yeah, it's so bad. But
I got blocked when I pointed that out.
You know what? Talking about this gave me another great idea. So why didn't they just scrap the character of Adar for a second, right? Let's try and do something else here. So let's say instead of what they did, they have Sauron already in control of the orcs, right? And now, granted, this is not canonical, but it would fit in, I think. So obviously you want to have your big battle. You don't want it just to be a long, drawn out drama, right? So what you do is you have Sauron orchestrate a faux siege, shall we say, right? As he's trying to still garner the trust of the elves in Eregion. And then he fights alongside the elves and kills all the orcs. You get your big battle. You get the trust of Sauron solidified through cinematic means, and then you can continue with the process of them forging the 9 and the 7 rings of power.
Why are you trying to make sense, High King Feanor? Why? Listen, I am not kidding. Holy shit, Raider. Raider 3 comes in like a boss, as he always does, and drops 20 gifted memberships. Like, I don't even hold on a second. Let me
Damn.
I'm not super fancy like everybody else. Hang on one second. Here we go. I'm just gonna have to give you this. 1 second.
Bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like?
There you go, Raider. Hopefully that was to your liking. Thank you so much. That is truly humbling. I do appreciate it.
You know, with the modern writing and stuff like this, and I've said this on other streams, if you want to be a good writer, right, all you really have to do is be able to explain who, how, and why all the time through the story. With modern shows like, you know, Disney, Star Wars, and Rings of Power, The Wheel of Time, what have you, they always screw up the how. Most of the problems just goes back to how. How is this possible when something different was said before, right? It's always the how.
But they don't care. Continuity is not something that these people actually like care about. They don't think, because here's the thing, especially because you can't, like, now you can binge watch it, but because they didn't do the binge model, right? Because they didn't do the binge model, they're like, oh, well, people like we're turning over a new leaf. It's a new episode. It doesn't matter. They're not going to remember that stuff. Like, this is the wrong fandom to attempt to come in and absolutely just obliterate the lore and then lie about it. Like, lie about it. When I forget if it was Payne or McKay. I think it was McKay, but he was like, oh, we kept going back to the books. We kept going back to the books, And
it's such a lie.
It's such a lie. Clearly, they couldn't be bothered. Because here's the thing. Tolkien built an entire legendarium, an entire world with multiple languages, with historical lineage, with with things that made sense. So like the thing that right now, I'm pretty sure the world, so Numenor is still alive for like it's still above the ocean. So that means the world is supposed to be flat right now. I'm pretty sure it's round. I'm pretty sure it's round.
Yeah, they're not going to do. They can't. They don't have the rights to do the reshaping of the world. So yeah, they would have to portray the world as round. But at the same time, I want to nip this in the bud since we're here. If I see one more shill bring up, well, they don't have the rights to that, I'm legit going to put my fist through my laptop screen.
That's not an excuse to do whatever you want. If you don't have the rights to it, if you don't have the rights to it, do a head nod to it, like at least acknowledge something like that.
You know what?
And do as good of a job as you can respecting what Tolkien wrote. This is not anything close to what Tolkien wrote.
And the thing of it is that I talked about this last night on Wednesday After Dark. You cannot convince me in a million years that the Tolkien estate in its current form wouldn't accept another $250-300 million for Of the Rings of Power in the Third Age and Akelabeth, the two last chapters of the Silmarillion that actually talk about this stuff. You cannot convince me in 1,000 years that they wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, sure, you have permission to do that. Just fork over some cash or give us some royalties, especially with the amount of money that Amazon generates. Stop it. My honest opinion is that Amazon did not pursue those rights so that they would have the excuse. That's my honest opinion.
I honestly would agree with that. So that I definitely think that that's a possibility. The other possibility that I think is happening, I think that Christopher Tolkien in his diligent gatekeeping son way, I think that he left behind because they didn't start this show until after he died. Like, did you notice that this didn't start to kick off until after he died?
It was like
literally right after he died. Yeah,
literally right after he died. And I think that he was like, certain parameters need to be met if you want this other stuff. Like, this other stuff will be released to you if A, B, C, and D are met. Because he would be able to do that, right? And if they signed that contract, and then they were like, oh, well, if he dies, it'll be null and void. But it's not, because the Tolkien estate, like, it was in lieu, like, as long as the Tolkien estate is standing. So, and of course, the heirs, like the Tolkien heirs, they're making money hand over fist. They're not gonna dissolve the Tolkien estate, right? Because that's where their money comes from.
Right.
So it's either you're right, like Amazon was like no, or Christopher like did his literal dying breaths made sure that his father's legacy would have some assurances.
True. Yeah. And just a quick aside, talking about the beginning of production of season 1. I just want it noted that because I like to bring this up.
Yeah.
Both channels, Nerd of the Rings and Fellowship of Fans, yeah. both of their channels started when Rings of Power started production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little FYI. I bring that up for no reason at all whatsoever.
Yeah. There was so much pop-up channels, and they're doing better than mine. Like, hey, more power to you. Like, okay, great, you're doing better than mine. But here's the problem. Like, when you sell your integrity for novelties and access, then it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, right. You've doomed yourself. Like,
yeah, once you sell your integrity or principles, you can only do it once.
Yep, you can only do it once, and nobody will ever trust you again. So it's just not worth it. So here we go. Oh God. All right. Take a deep breath. Okay, so do you remember, so for those folks, for those of you that don't know, because like this is how they talk to you, right? They talk down to you like they're talking to a bunch of pre-Kers or kindergartners. So, folks, for those of you that don't know, Tolkien was not a fan of allegory. He was very much a believer of applicability. But orcs are obviously, black people. Like, it's an allegory for black people and slaves, obviously. And they just want to have loving families. The orcs just want loving families. They want peace. Then
they don't chop people up.
Yeah, they don't chop. The contradictions in this show are wild. Like, you told us you loved us. And he's like, yeah, enough that I don't want you as Sauron's slaves. And then the fact that there is a word for love in black speech is utterly hilarious. But
and then they tell us they go into frenzies.
Yeah, and then 2 episodes later, you've got Sauron saying, "Have you ever seen an Uruk in battle? A sort of bloodlust." Like, they can't be peace-seeking victims of circumstance and bloodlusting frenzy fighters in battle. Like, you can't have both. Pick a lane, bruh. The contradictions were insane. So here we go, okay? Celebrimbor's fall felt a bit like a metaphor for drug addiction. He's addicted to the making of these rings, of course, and the Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis, has said he portrayed Gollum as a heroin addict. This seemed like a different take on the same idea. Somebody who has suddenly woken up, looked around, and realized my apartment is trash and my life is a wreck because of this. Please, I didn't write this. Don't get mad at me, please. I can't even read it. I'm dying. I love that. Son of a gun. I love that. I don't know that we consciously talked about that, but we did think it was important that someone gives themselves willingly over to Sauron. And they chose Celebrimbor. This was the line where I lost my shit. Yeah. Somebody gives themselves willingly over to Sauron. And they picked Celebrimbor. What?
The grandson of yours truly.
Holy God, deliver me. He does not have power over every living thing. He has to pull you into his web. And I love that it could hold up as a metaphor for that. I think it really holds up. Certainly with Gollum it does. It's because Gollum is Tolkien's character. What you guys did to Celebrimbor and Anatar was character assassination. It doesn't hold up. There is no allegory. There is no metaphor. It's literally straight up betrayal. It's not a metaphor for anything. It is betrayal. Like, this blows my... And Celebrimbor never gave himself over to Sauron. He literally fought Sauron to, like, his dying breath. He was tortured, and he still did not give himself up to Sauron. What they have done to Celebrimbor, this weak, pathetic coward, is absolutely disgusting.
Well, it's Jake Skywalker all over again.
It really is.
Well, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I keep thinking about like the bloodlines and where Celebrimbor came from, and it's like his grandfather fought multiple Balrogs. His great uncle, I think it would be great uncle, fought Morgoth himself. His uncles, no, it wouldn't be his great. I think I'm trying to figure out the family dynamic of Fingolfin.
Yeah, Fingolfin, wouldn't that be his? I thought that was his cousin. Hold on.
No, Fingolfin was the brother of Feanor.
Yes. So that'd be his uncle.
Feanor
is his grandfather.
Feanor's his grandfather.
So yeah, his great uncle.
What would that?
That's his great.
Would it be
his great uncle? Yep, it's his great uncle because.
Okay, so that's what. Yeah. So and then all of his uncles fought in all these bloody conflicts.
Yes.
And they turned Celebrimbor into this pitiful old man. It's like, what are you doing?
He reminds me, the character that they made him reminds me of like the washed up 60s hippies who can't like let it go.
Yeah. Now, granted, granted, Celebrimbor in the books was trying to kind of escape the stigma of being from Feanor's family because they did a bunch of messed up stuff in the First Age, and he was trying to get away from that. And
I gotta ask,
what's up?
Get in that really quick. I have to ask.
Yeah. Do
you remember? It's the very first episode. So for those of you that don't know, there's something called the Flight of the Noldor. Okay, it's kind of important. It's sort of a big thing.
It's very. Feanor did nothing wrong.
Feanor did nothing wrong. He really didn't do anything wrong.
He did nothing wrong. I swear.
It's just this tiny little thing. That was sort of preceded by this other thing called the kinslaying. But like, we're just gonna hop over that. In the first episode of Rings of Power, I forget the exact line, but it essentially boils down to Morfydd Clark narrating. She was like, "We couldn't agree on how to proceed. We left," and I was like, "What? You didn't just leave. It wasn't like, oh, we couldn't agree, so the Noldor just left." I'm like, no, that's definitely not what this wasn't like. Okay, like we're gonna go over to Middle Earth and see how it works out over there. Bye, guys. Like that's not what happened.
If they had just left, a lot of bad things would have probably been avoided. Like it just been like, all right, cool, let's just bounce, let's do so. Now well, if you remember in the first season, she's talking with Halbrand, and she's talking about how this is where that like they really want to mention stuff for like member berries, but they can't. She says something along the lines of like, we both have to reconcile the sins of our kindred or something like that. And it's like, oh, you're trying to mention the kinslaying without mentioning the kinslaying because you don't
yes. I'm like, that thing that you sort of just breezed over, like episode. So if Amazon was smart, like I know you said, hey, it's this simple. You have Anatar show up for the first 3 seasons, and then the last 2 seasons, like he reveals. Honestly, the first 2 seasons should have been the kinslaying. Like that's easily 2 seasons worth of material, easily.
Well, I think. Well, I'm wondering because I think you would have to do like, if you were going to do that, you would have to do like a Feanor story. I think that would like be from him becoming a master smith to forging the Silmarils to the kinslaying to his death. I think that's how you would have to do that.
Which I would be fine. Listen, we didn't get.
Yeah, I do.
What we got of the First Age was Morfydd Clark saying, "Before there were stars, there was light," and then you get to see the 2 trees, and that's it. Like that's it. You can see, like he walks up the hill. There's the 2 trees, and then it's done. Okay, for those of you that know, it's called the Time of Trees. So we didn't get the Time of Trees. We didn't get the Silmarils. We don't know anything of Feanor. Yet in this season, like they have and by the way, that was the crappiest statue.
They did me dirty, I swear.
Really dirty. So, they did Celebrimbor dirty too. Like, why are the elves all so old? They don't look angelic. They don't look feral, like ferile. They look weak and tired, and it's like they took that line where it's like, I feel thin, Gandalf, like butter scraped over too much bread, and they were like, yes, do this for the elves so that you have like that ancient feeling with them. And so
it's, you know what it is? It's the fact that these writers cannot conceive of the idea of a being higher than themselves.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. They can't. It's the reason why you're never going to get any Eru Iluvatar. It's the reason why you're never going to have, the elves actually being beautiful and graceful and all that other stuff. It's because these people live in a bubble, and all they are surrounded by is people that are like-minded ideologically. They're all, for the most part, I think J.D. Payne's a Mormon. One of them's a Mormon.
They're both Mormon.
Are they both Mormon? Okay.
They're both Mormon. I found that out because Shad was really ticked about that, like to FFP.
But the thing of it is, they're surrounded by a bunch of nihilistic atheists. That's the bubble they're in, who are,
like touch-starved nihilistic atheists who, like, this is wild to me because their writing proves how desperate they are for like connection and a return to order, because like they want the men to be like powerful. They want the men to be like in charge. Like, I can't believe I'm about to say this on my stream, but they want the men to be like dominant. They really do, but they can't admit to that because of like it's the wrong kind of belief. And so they can't, so because of that, they can't actually, that's why they're going through these power fantasies of the villain, of the male villain, is, you know, he's just misunderstood, because it's okay to make the misunderstood villain powerful, because then, you know, oh, well, your heroine can overcome him. By the way,
it's also a way to avoid the identity politic traps.
Well, I don't know about that, but so to give you, I know we keep jumping all over the place. This episode ends the exact same way that the last episode of season 1 ends. Halbrand, except now it's Anatar, plays a bunch of mind games with her, shows her different like forms and different visions and stuff, offers her the ability to be his queen, and then she rejects him again. So remind me again why turning down the One Ring when Frodo had it was such a big deal, when she has already not once but twice rejected Sauron himself.
Excellent point, actually.
Why would that even matter? It completely
That's a great
destroys canon. So like she has turned him down twice directly.
Yeah.
And it just, and so here we go.
To his face.
Yeah, to his face.
Not to the ring, which only had a little bit of him.
Okay. Ugh. All right, I gotta quit doing that. You mentioned relationship. Oh yeah, okay, that's the horror. All right, what excites you about season 3? Take a deep breath, guys. Take a very deep breath. McKay, this is the all right, I'll just read it and then we'll discuss it. I would just say we are enormously proud of season 2 and the work that all these amazing actors did and all our incredible collaborators did. We feel it's a really strong season. We made a very conscious effort to pace the show differently. We really wanted every episode to play as a discrete experience, and that meant you're not going to see every character every week. We think the show is just hitting its stride, and we anticipate that season 3 will be onward and upward.
Yeah, no.
$1 billion show, and it took you 2 seasons of 8 episodes each that were an hour, 16 hours. And you're just now hitting your stride.
80% of that answer was a non-answer.
Yes, absolutely.
I really think that even though he has that, I think season 3 is majorly at risk. I think there's conversations that are going on behind the scenes that are either like, we either have to cut our budget by an extreme amount because we are losing money hand over fist, or we got to just kill this show because it's an embarrassment. That something is going on behind the scenes there, and it's very telling, this non-answer that he has, because he wants to leave that little nugget there where it's like, yeah, season 3 should be, be onward and upward, but he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, it's like, I don't know if there's going to be the season 3, or on the flip side, even though Simon Tolkien is working directly with these guys, I'm wondering if there's murmurings going on within the Tolkien estate of, this was a disaster. We should have never agreed to this. We should have talked Grandpa out of this. I'm wondering if those discussions are being had at the Tolkien estate as well. Because I think that the Tolkien estate does have some sort of authority to pull the plug.
Yes, they do. The thing is, most of the heirs, like Simon is a brick. He is a brick. And I'm just being kind about that. Like he's not his grandfather. Like these grandkids, all of Tolkien's children have passed, sadly. So all that's left are the grandkids and some great nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So these they're not stewards of his work. They're
leeches.
They want to keep the money rolling in, and they are going to live off of their grandfather's legacy for as long as they possibly can. They're trust fund babies.
Well, I'm wondering though if they don't see this as being a lucrative investment, considering how if they don't just decide, you know what, it's been nice, Amazon, we are going to take the IP somewhere else where it can make us more money. I'm wondering if they have the ability to do that.
Well, see, here's the thing. That is what War of the Rohirrim was supposed to be, but Warner Brothers shot themselves in the foot with that one because they're going to turn that into a girl boss with an unnamed daughter is now the center, is the main character, not Helm Hammerhand, which Helm's Deep was named for.
She doesn't even have a Norse name.
No, she doesn't. Hera is like, there were so many other names they could have chosen.
It's a Greek name, isn't it?
Apparently it is there are Norse roots or whatever for Hera, but you would spell it differently. But yes, Hera is the Greek goddess of marriage. And you can say all you want that Hera is also a Norse name.
It isn't that I've heard.
It's not. But you could say that, but there are so many other actual well-known Norse names that you could have picked that wouldn't confuse people, making you think that it was Greek. So according to this, which I think is actually 100% incorrect, but it's Britannica. So Hera in ancient Greek is the daughter of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, sister, wife of Zeus, and queen of the Olympians. In Norse mythology, Hera is the goddess of the underworld who presides over the deceased.
No, that would be Hel.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is inaccurate. Okay,
but
it isn't.
They are.
Trust me, I'm from Norway.
I know. I'm just telling you. I am just telling you that what they probably did was went to like that name of like baby name website, and they were like, "Oh, look, Hera. It starts with an H. Helm Hammerhand, Hera. It's great. Like it's the
what they did. They went to Google and used the Norse name generator.
Yeah, it's not good. So Warner Brothers is going to shoot themselves in the foot with that because I've seen the Japanese trailer for War of the Rohirrim as well. Guys, it's going to be bad. It is a complete bait and switch. They make her the central character. They make Wolf is they're essentially two kids who don't want to get married, and it's like the bickerings of old men. And then she talks about how like the men just act like I'm not even there. Well, that's because, sweetheart, you shouldn't even be in the room. Like, really, you shouldn't, because that's not how it was. And that's not how it's supposed to be. But yeah, they're turning her into like this whiny, self-centered, girls get it done girl boss. And Helm Hammerhand is going to be completely overshadowed. And I'm willing to bet that she's going to win the battle. She's going to do all of the stuff. And then she's going to want, like, her father is still going to freeze to death.
And then Eowyn will no longer be any kind of special.
Yeah, Eowyn won't be any kind of special, but also they'll be like, well, you know, my lady, like, let's go back into the keep, and she'll be like Helm's Deep, like, you know, for his deep, whatever stupid, like, she's gonna be the noble one that names it Helm's Deep, even though she did all of the work. She's the forgotten daughter who actually was the hero, and Helm Hammerhand got all the credit. That's what it's gonna be. Never mind that he was such a ferocious fighter that, like, an army pissed itself, basically. Like, no, that's not directly from the Tolkien lore, obviously. And hilariously, it's still a more accurate interpretation than Rings of Power.
Yeah.
But I'm just blown away at that Warner Brothers has gotten the opportunity for layup after layup after layup. And still, they keep shooting themselves in the foot. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go.
Well, go ahead.
So climate change in the Dwarven Kingdom, guys.
This
underground
climate change.
Yeah, wow. That, you know, when I loved how he was like, those surface dwellers who are slaves to the sun. I mean, I was like, you mean the sun whose light shafts you are currently redoing so that your plants don't die, and because dwarves were known to be vegetarians. Of course they were. Like, oh my god, it's just it's so bad. But
red meat off the bone, right? That's not a thing anymore.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw. Over in Khazad-dûm, I always had the impression that once the Balrog was released, he wreaked havoc and drove everyone out of the mines immediately. But in your story, this is more of a gradual corruption process. That city is still occupied, and they're still going to be fighting for it going into season 3. And McKay is like, this is the thing. How do societies fall? Usually it's gradually and then
Mass
all
immigration.
at once. Usually it's gradually and then all at once. If you want to use climate change as a metaphor, climate change is not an event. Climate change is a process that ebbs and flows, that's always headed in a dark direction. I think
the 46th time, actually.
I think a kingdom as great and powerful as Khazad-dûm does not fall in a moment. The fall is the product of many disasters over time, and I think it would sell Khazad-dûm short for the Balrog to get out and then it's all over. It's more complicated. We think there's a bigger story to be told here. Tolkien told that story. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, literally, didn't the dwarves wake it up because they were delving too deep?
Yep.
Yes.
And then it literally destroyed them. Like, that's exactly what happened.
And by the way, it did not destroy them immediately. It killed King Durin VI.
Yep.
And then later his son Nain was killed, Nain the First, and then the dwarves fled Moria. And
Listen,
this is the same crap. This is the same crap they did in season 1.
Yeah, it's climate change. The Balrog is climate change, guys. Like,
makes you wonder what Mordor was.
These people genuinely also, but this is brought to you by the people that think that you can survive a pyroclastic cloud to the face, and that a small stream of water in a well-ventilated volcanic shaft is going to cause a massive eruption that continues to erupt into eternity. So, once again, those types of eruptions are entirely, they're basically, so think of them like steam eruptions, right? But essentially, there's only 2 ways that happens. The volcano it's an ocean volcano, right? So the most of the volcano is in the ocean. And then what ends up happening is like a wall gives out and the ocean basically floods the volcano, and it happens so fast and there's nowhere for the steam to go that it erupts in a cataclysmic event. That's the most common, right?
Yeah.
The second way that this could happen is if basically there's like a landslide, like there's a rock slide, right? And then it sort of caps the different vents of the volcano. And then once again, you would need a huge rush of water. Okay. So like, I don't know how to explain this, but basically think of like the volcano and think of like the top isn't capped, but if you go down about like maybe 100 feet down and then it caps off. Well, now water starts building up on top of that. When the cap gives and all that water rushes down into the volcano, then it causes the steam to erupt again, right? But again, both times you're having a massive influx of water. It's not a tiny little stream that winds down a freaking ditch that every single elf scout in all of Middle Earth somehow freaking missed. Okay? That, like, when there wasn't enough water and there were still plenty of vents for the steam to escape. So an eruption should have never happened to begin with, let alone a sustained eruption.
Let me hit you with some brutal irony here. So I love how he's talking about climate change when he tried to portray the blowing up of a mountain and an entire land covered in ash and dust to make homes for the orcs as a good thing.
I know, right? Like, here is a whole wasteland. Be happy.
Yeah.
And now you can be happy. Now you have a home. Yay, aren't we good, guys? And then in this season, A trebuchet, literally, like 4 rocks take out an entire side of a mountain. That is not how that works either.
No.
Like a rock slide, like it's not an avalanche. That isn't how mountains are. Like you don't throw a couple rocks. Yeah, you don't throw a couple of rocks at the face of a mountain and then half the mountain just slides off into the river. Secondly, that's not how dams work either. That water is eventually going to build up and overtake the dam. That's why dams have gates that you open to allow water through so that the water doesn't overtake the dam. It's simply to control the flow of water, but it's not permanent. And that amount of rock slide would not happen with just 4 tiny little rocks. So, like, these people, they're going for spectacle, they're going for show, but the stuff that they're talking, it's just not feasible. It's not possible. It breaks the laws of just common sense, but also of physics. And then you get, I'm sure both of you have seen this, you get the, oh, but it's fantasy. It's fantasy. You need to get over it. It's fantasy. Bruh.
That's actually the one reply that shows the least bit of imagination.
Yeah.
Ironically. By saying it's fantasy, so everything
it's fantasy. Get over it. It doesn't matter. But then in the next breath, they're going to defend orc families and be like, well, in the canon, it says that the orcs multiply. But like, I don't even know. The fact that this is being taken seriously, like these are these fake fans who are like, well, in the canon, Tolkien clearly says that orcs reproduce the way the children of Iluvatar do. And you're like, no, okay, so they were bred. Like, Sauron corrupted the first orcs, and then he bred them like animals. So you can't, in one breath, reach into Tolkien's canon to substantiate a ridiculous addition to this absolute crime against humanity. And then in the next breath be like, it's fantasy, bruh. It doesn't matter. There is actually no canon in Tolkien's lore. Like, did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. Yes, I did. Right. And I've made it a point. And by the way, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I hope it gets his attention. That a lot of people are seeing and engaging with these posts I've made, because I saw that. And so I'm going to be doing this for like the next week. Every single post I make about lore discrepancies in regards to Rings of Power, I am making sure to tag Mr. Tolkien Professor in those posts.
Bro, you want to talk about a shill?
And I am making sure to point out, hey, buddy, this is canon. This is canon. This right here, oh, that's canon too. Like, just so that you know that little weasel, that little sellout, can see how stupid of a thing that was to say.
So for any of you who don't know what we're talking about, fear not. We are going to have to wrap up soon, but I'm not Amazon. I'm not going to mystery box you. Like, I'm going to show you exactly what we're talking about. This guy calls himself the Tolkien Professor. Keep that in mind, and then listen to what this absolute douche nozzle says.
First thing to specify is that there's no such thing really as canon in Tolkien.
Bruh.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there absolutely is. What do you mean, you bald-headed?
You know what you should tag him in? Just screenshot the explanation of what canon is.
Yeah,
and tag him in it and say, "Hey, there's some helpful stuff." For
literally, literally the pinned tweet on my account is a quote from Tolkien about canons in narrative.
Yep. Yep. It's.
What do you mean?
It is okay, guys, we're 5 seconds into this clip. There's still 1:41 to go. Hold on, guys. It gets stupider.
Tolkien's ideas were ever evolving.
Evolving. No. He would say, he'd be like, man, if I, like, I look back and I wish I could have maybe added this or done this differently, but it's written.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back and change it. And they have the nerve to call this a lore deep dive. And
oh my goodness, his ideas were his ideas were ever evolving. Hey, Corey Olsen, that's what's called the creative process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what the first draft and the second draft was.
Right? Like, oh my goodness gracious.
Thank you kindly, Grando.
That is some absolute tartar doo-doo.
In the text of the Lord of the Rings, we are told that Gandalf, with the other wizards,
Dr. Corey Olsen, the Tolkien professor, president Signum University. He is not president of Signum University, right? Like, that's not what he's claiming. Is that what he's saying?
I believe he actually is. I believe he is. Yeah, Signum's a joke.
Just because you are like people in authority, just because someone gives you a clipboard and appoints you certain authorities does not make you intelligent by any means at all. Like at all. So it gets so much worse. As we all know, Tom Shippey is the true Tolkien professor. But this gets wild.
Arrived at around year 1000 of the Third Age.
So he knows this.
Yeah.
He knows this.
And in his later years, he was playing with the idea of maybe Gandalf coming sooner, maybe some of the wizards coming in the Second Age.
But he didn't do that, which is why it is in canon.
Yes, exactly. He didn't do it. He played with the idea. He didn't do it.
Taking part in the wars of the Rings of Power.
When it comes to Gandalf,
all two of them. Yeah,
Ghosts. Zwei for those of you that are German. Du for those of you that are French.
I'm a name that people know him by, but what are some of the other names? Like a personal favorite of mine is Olorn.
He's known as Mithrandir.
Olorin. Oh, you got Corey Olsen. You couldn't be bothered to correct him.
Nope.
You couldn't be bothered to correct him on that.
No,
you couldn't.
Because God forbid that any form of correction be had to make them look foolish. Guys, everybody learns every single day. People make mistakes all the time. Nobody knows everything. Okay, like yes. Tolkien in his later life, he was like, wouldn't it have been interesting if I had done this? Or what would have been different if I did this? He was a fan of his own work. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to love what you write. And he was a fan of his own work. So he was literally being like, what would have been interesting? What if I had done this? Or what if I had, what if this character had shown up here? Like what would have changed? But he didn't go retcon himself. He didn't go insert those changes. There's not like a seventh revision of Lord of the Rings or of this of the Silmarillion where it's like insert Gandalf falling out of the sky, landing naked in the middle of a field. Like that doesn't happen.
And by the way, just in case any sort of stupid Rings of Power fan who pretends to be a Tolkien fan sees this, yes, the stuff that was published posthumously by Christopher is also canon because it is based off the notes that J.R.R. Tolkien left, and J.R.R. Tolkien made Christopher Tolkien the steward of his work. So that's also canon as well.
Yep.
Plus, he was also Tolkien's editor by trade.
Yes.
Yep.
So he was basically
son.
Just doing his job.
Yep. He was a very good son.
And the only thing he really did was he put the bits into the correct timeline order and then edit the writing. Really.
Okay.
I love how she's got a modern ace bandage. Sorry, she has a modern ace bandage covering her 4-inch deep wound from Morgoth's crown blade.
And also. Can I? It's a minor annoyance, but they're talking about Gandalf and showing Galadriel. Can you guys at least show relevant clips?
Right, exactly. No, we must show I don't know who these editors are, but they suck.
And in Gondor,
they do suck.
Gandalf in the north. He's known as Tharkun, the dwarf.
Yes. Okay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that irritates me. Because if season, I really, especially based off that Hollywood Reporter article, I think that season 3 is in serious doubt.
Yeah.
But I am willing to bet that they are going to do something with, like, Gandalf has to go into hiding so that Sauron doesn't find him and, like, corrupt him. So he's going to go hide with the dwarves, and they're going to call him Tharkun, right? And he is probably going to, like, you know what? Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. It would make sense if he, like, magically sealed up the Balrog, and then they would be like, oh, you fear to go into that place because you've already faced that Balrog before. Like, does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Corey Olsen, since you want to talk about canon, canonically, the first reference to in any way to the term wizard is the name that the Númenóreans give Sauron, which is Ziggur, which is Andunaic, which is the Númenórean language. It's the literal it literally translates to wizard in the Second Age, and it's the only reference to the term wizard in the Second Age.
Well, I thought they called him a magician.
The name they gave him. No. The name they gave him was Ziggur, which means wizard.
I thought it translated to magician. My bad. See?
No.
Mistakes are made.
Dwarves.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. And he's known as Incanus in the south when he lived in Valinor.
Oh, look, this is from season 1.
From 1, yep.
Those are the trees, guys.
And also, they weren't gods. He did not live among gods, okay? No. They are angelic beings. There is only one god. Yeah. Corey Olsen, Also,
why is this capitalized? Tolkien was a devout Catholic, guys. There's no multiple gods, I promise.
His name was Aloran. So it suggests he's been around lots of places, has impacted many different communities and many different peoples, and they've known him under many different names.
Also, did you guys like how this ended, where Tom Bombadil literally pulls a Ollivander and is like, instead of it being the wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter, where he's just like, the wizard doesn't choose his staff, the staff chooses the wizard, or the staff finds the wizard, so does his name.
Did you guys notice that when he picked up the staff, it was all bent and stuff, but then when you saw a wide shot, it was straight?
Straight, yes.
That same passage where he talks about his different names, he says, "To the east I go not." When we look at that quote in context, he's talking.
Why do you care about context? You just said canon doesn't actually exist, so why do you care?
To a dude from Gondor, and
just some dude from Gondor.
The people of Gondor, they call Mordor the east. He meant, don't expect me to go throw down with, the Dark Lord at the gates of Bar.
I actually am viscerally angry right now.
A doer.
So when it comes to Gandalf, what is his general purpose in Middle-earth?
Gandalf is described as coming to bring encouragement to the people of Middle-earth.
That's not at all what his job is.
He's kind of right.
Encouragement is not the right word.
No, he's literally there for moral support, and
he's literally not supposed to get involved. Like, he defies orders from the Valar because he's already way more involved than he is supposed to be, and he knows.
Well, he is to serve as a guide. He's supposed to guide the peoples of Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And which is why he's actually so a little backstory on Gandalf. He's actually very hesitant to go to Middle Earth.
Yes.
He actually has to be talked into it by Manwë because he has a fear of Sauron.
Of course.
And he actually has to be talked into it. But he's literally there. Yes, he is supposed to serve in some sort of combative capacity at times. He's allowed to do that, but he's not allowed to show his full power, nor is he allowed to. He has certain restrictions.
That's why the Balrog that's why the Balrog in Khazad-dûm is such a big deal, because you start to get a glimpse of exactly like he's like servant of the secret fight. Like he tells you who he is. You're just like, whoa.
Yes.
Like he's not some goofy guy with a stick. Like who likes to light fireworks. He actually like this incredibly powerful. He's basically an angel. Okay? So like he's an incredibly powerful being. He's not allowed to show that, but he's not there for encouragement. He is there for guidance. There is a difference, because encouragement is where, like, so when you encourage when you encourage somebody, you are taking on a role of sort of not laissez-faire exactly, but you're like, hey, I see that you're struggling. I'm here to talk if you need me, and like you can bounce stuff off of me. He actually like guides them through things, and he is allowed to be combative. He is able to light within, like help them find who they need to be in order to complete this mission, right? In order to do what needs to be done. And he is able to be, well, I mean, he breaks the rules quite a few times, but he gets directly involved with like the halflings. Like that's why people don't, there's a few things. I mean, nothing is perfect. The Jackson films are obviously far superior to this show in so many ways.
Even the Hobbit movies.
Oh God, yeah. And that's the, but like when Sauron says, like, you've become, if obviously High King Feanor's read the books and Stieg has read the books and stuff like that. But when he says you've become too enamored with the halflings, like that's a reminder, because remember, Sauron is supposed to be the leader of the council, right? And so, or that's what he wants to be. But like at this point, he's attempting to remind Gandalf that like you're stepping over the lines, and if you break the rules, there's going to be consequences. Like that's what that is. And that what I can't even really call him doc. Like, do I have to call him doctor?
No.
What Corey is saying here makes it sound like Gandalf is a bumbling old fool who needed the help of the halflings and Tom Bombadil to even remember who he was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it bothers me so much that they've cucked Celebrimbor, they've cucked Elrond. What they have done to Gil-galad is wild. Like, literal legendary warrior king Gil-galad. Look what they have done to him.
Satan's chilling in a Region. I'm gonna pen some notes to those boys and be like, "Hey, you guys, no. If Gil-galad from the books knew Sauron was in a Region, he would have summoned his full art. He would have showed up there himself and like dealt with the problem. Like, nah, we ain't doing this.
He would have gutted Anatar on the spot. He'd have just walked in and just gutted him without saying a word. Like, no ceremony, no nothing. He just walked in and gutted him and then chopped his head off. Like, it's wild to me what they've done to these characters.
Well, even just the Noldor elves in general. I mean, I was talking with somebody about this on Twitter, where it was like, a lot of these elves were veterans of the wars of the First Age. They were probably really grim for the orcs to go up against, because these guys were like battle hardened.
Never in a million years
now
they have stopped a full cavalry charge. Like,
no,
are you kidding? Like,
they would have steamrolled those orcs.
They absolutely would have. Like, are you kidding? If anything, they would have gotten there faster. If they had seen Galadriel, their Galadriel in a cage with a spear to her throat, 1,000 arrows would have hit that orc so fast it's not even funny.
They've done it before. I can think of at least 2 or 3 charges off the top of my head from the First Age where the elves just steamrolled the orcs. Like they've butchered everything in this show. It's not even there is nothing remotely close to the canon other in. I can't even use one example. It's It's horrible. I just
it truly is. Like this is bad beyond. Like it's not even insulting. It's just downright diabolical at this point. We're gonna.
You know what the true damage though is that they're gonna over time they're going to mess up people's perception of Tolkien.
No, this is so bad.
Especially for the next few generations of people.
This is so bad. This is going to get no, because here's the other thing. Like the Tolkien fan, this thing, it's going to be a fart in the wind. Nobody's going to be talking about this in 5 years or 10 years. 50
for us,
years.
yes, but the generation, is it Generation Z? That's the dumbass.
Bro, how old do you think I am? What generation do you think I am?
Is it Gen X? That's the new one.
No, Gen X is so. Gen X are in like their 50s and 50s. Boomers are in like their 60s. So
what's
Gen
the
X,
new one? Is it Gen Z?
So Gen Alpha are the kids. Gen Z are like the 20 like the
yeah. They don't read. They watch. They've grown up with a cell phone.
iPads. They're not watching this stuff. Like the data that's come in, nobody is watching. This.
Nobody is.
Yeah. And so like this entire thing is $1 billion bust. It is $1 billion waste. Nobody's
going to be forgotten.
Nobody's going to remember this because, again, we've said it before. Even if you remove Tolkien from this, Tolkien's lore, like Tolkien's legacy, which they obviously had no problem doing, just pulling that out. It is not a good show. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't track. There's no sense of scale. There's no sense of time. The power scalings are completely off. There's no continuity with their own storytelling. Like they forget stuff that they've done, and like forget even just last episode 10 minutes ago. Like we saw Elrond literally acknowledges Gil-galad on the field before the cavalry charge. And then he disappears. Gil-galad disappears and then shows up to slay the troll that they made such a big deal about for everything.
Yeah, I just tipped him over. And
then Elrond is like, "What are you doing here, my liege?" It's like, bro, you just saw him. Like, you knew he was here. Like, you saw him 10 minutes ago in this episode. Like, it's wild. They forget their own stuff. So,
you know what else struck me though? Galadriel is immune to Sauron's mace because she was immune to falling damage, which is blunt damage, blunt force trauma. She's clearly immune to that, according to this episode.
Bro,
she fell down 500 meters straight down.
Yeah, spreading hope and helping where he can.
He can't remember who he is. How is he spreading hope?
Right.
So according to Rings of Power and this doofus, Gandalf not knowing who he is as he falls from the sky as a star, because Istari. Oh, look at how clever we are. So because he doesn't know who he is, so he just traveled the world and he just brought hope to people, and then helped out when he could. And the whole Tom Bombadil thing, oh my gosh, it's a travesty. But that is what we're talking about. This right here, like it. I mean, obviously you knew it was going to go off a cliff after this.
First thing to specify is that there's no such thing really as canon in Tolkien.
You knew it was going to just go downhill from there. Like there is no way to recover from this at all. So
his credibility is gone.
Yes, absolutely, 100% shot. There's nothing left. And then you've got you have a Balrog being a metaphor for climate change. It's just bad. We didn't even get to the second article, but
hey guys, real quick. Since I have her here, okay.
For fuck's sake.
Since I have her here, my lady just got home from work, and I'm gonna describe to her something. I want to get a live raw reaction because she hasn't watched any of the show yet. Okay.
Never will.
Good.
Okay, babe.
Don't do it.
Galadriel gets stabbed in the chest and does a free fall off a 200-foot cliff, lands on solid ground, and lives.
Well, she swam across like 8 oceans. That sounds right.
I mean, she's not wrong. She fell like
she's
a
not
mile.
wrong.
Yeah, she's not wrong. She fell.
Yeah, she survived the volcano. Yeah.
Pyroclastic cloud to the face. Survived a mile drop off of a cliff. Like, and again, it wasn't a fall. It's not like Galadriel got pushed by Sauron.
No, she jumped. She jumped.
She jumped backwards off of the cliff. She jumped backwards, guys. But like, that's hang on. It's my computer's doing its thing. But that's literally. That's all they wanted. They wanted those sweeping cinematography shots because like it's all look and no substance. They clearly don't care about canon because according to their professor that they have on hand, there's no such thing as canon with Tolkien. It's all nutso. Crazy.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Because I wasn't entirely sure what happened. After Galadriel lands, she seems to have been stabbed by a Morgul blade.
Yeah, Morgoth's crown.
Yeah, because those were just short blades, like daggers and short swords.
Bro, nothing about this makes sense. I don't know. You have
like,
Gil Galad.
happening?
You have High King Gil Galad saying that he can't defeat the darkness that's inside of her, that's trying to take over and rip her soul to pieces. That also doesn't make any sense at all.
Elrond's going to fix it because he fixed Frodo.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a member berry thing.
Yep, absolutely. It was a travesty from start to finish, and we didn't even get all of the stupidness. Sauron cries. Isildur commits adultery with some chick he met in the woods. Okay, so she's considered a Lomant. So Isildur commits adultery because devout Catholic.
He's a sailor.
Tolkien, devout Catholic Tolkien was going to write all about adultery, but you've got Celebrimbor is a coward. It's gutted like a pig. Or like a fish, however you want to, whichever one. Stuck like a pig, gutted like a fish. Both of them work. Galadriel steals Frodo's storyline, and she gets stabbed by apparently a Morgul blade, and has to be rescued. Falls a mile, jumps a mile, survives a mile-long fall after she jumps backward off of a cliff. Is the reason that Sauron has the Nine, is the reason that Eregion was raised to the ground, is the reason nobody knew that Sauron was back. Literally everything is her fault. And these men that they have, so when she wakes up after her little nap from falling a mile to the ground, she just bounces apparently. There was moss, guys. You know what? I forgot, guys. There was moss on the ground. Clearly it was a soft moss bed that she landed in, right? It cradled her. But she
Looney Tunes physics.
Exactly. They wait. Listen, I need you guys to understand how ridiculous this is. High King Gil-galad. Freaking Elrond, who at this point is one of the most seasoned warriors around. And then even their own made-up character, Arendir, who has been through like consistent battles at this point. All three of these men
healed instantly.
Got gutted last episode, but bounced right back. All three of these men wait for her to wake up and then ask her what they should do about Sauron. I am not kidding you.
Well, and you brought up Gil-galad and Elrond. It's like in the books, Sauron. And Corey Olsen, this word canon's going to canonically. He literally brings up exactly who Gil-galad and Elrond are when he's talking to the elves. It's a line of dialogue from the Silmarillion. It's at the beginning part of the Rings of Power in the Third Age. He says explicitly, alas for the weakness of the great, for a mighty king is Gil-galad, and wise in all lore is Master Elrond. Will they not aid me in my labors? That's Sauron admits that these are powerful entities.
Yep. But they wait for the Rings of Power version waits for Galadriel to wake up from her nap so that they can ask her what to do. And then she proceeds to not give them an answer. She literally, I said this at the beginning, she quotes, like, these writers, this is how you know how narcissistic they are, because they repeat their own lines. She quotes Celebrimbor and says, like, literally, they're like, what, like, Arendir's like, what shall we do, Commander? And she's like, I would remember the words of my dear friend Celebrimbor. It is not strength that defeats darkness, but light. Literally, like, that's what she says.
Dear friend, you had four scenes with him.
Yeah. Yep. And, 4 scenes with him is entirely the reason that he got gutted like a fish. Is the reason Eregion fell. Is the reason the Númenóreans are in the state that they're in. Like, she is a freaking. She's like a banshee. She just destruction and death everywhere she goes. And then they have the nerve, because again, they need their sweeping shots. Here, let me see if I can actually get it. If my computer will do its thing, and not be ridiculous. So at the end, right? Because again, the only thing that these people care about are their sweeping cinematic shots, right? So like the very diverse elves are cheering because Gilgadaddy got up from this is their end. Here it goes. Here's their ending shot after Galadriel delivers the most pathetic line ever. This is their ending shot. This is what they were going for. This right here.
Yeah, that's an art butchered thing. It's supposed to be Rivendell. I guarantee you it's Rivendell.
It is Rivendell. They're in the Dell right now. They called it a sanctuary. And
you
so
know what I'm reminded of? A Dragon Age 3 when you find the castle. You know,
hey, Lady Gravemaster, are you able to pull up my Twitter?
I can do that, yeah.
Okay, pull up my Twitter real quick and scroll down. I have a tweet about this.
Let me find you.
It's like they want people to do fan art about this.
No, that's exactly what this is. They want you to do Durin charging the Balrog. Okay, scroll down. What am I looking for?
It should be a post explicitly about Rivendell.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Boom. All right. Okay, let me.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it? Do you want to read your own?
Go ahead and. Do you know what? Go ahead and read it. You do the honors.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. At the very end of the Rings of Stupid Season 2 finale, they show what will more than likely end up becoming, I'm going to say it wrong, Imladris.
Yeah, good job.
Imladris. Gil-galad is there, Elrond, Galadriel, etc. There's also a handful of refugees left from Eregion there as well. Well, Imladris, or Rivendell, was founded in the year Second Age 1697. It was founded after Elrond, having merged his forces with Celeborn's, which pushed north because the armies of Sauron were pushing further into Eredor, and the elves were hard-pressed. It was used not only as an outpost, but also as a place to take in refugees from Eregion and the rest of Eredor as Sauron continued his brutal advance towards Lindon. Later in the war, Elamdris was besieged, and that siege wasn't broken until the Númenóreans showed up around the year Second Age 1700. And joining forces with the Noldor, both the men and elves were able to push Sauron out of Eredor, ultimately defeating him at the Battle of Guatho. This is canon, by the way, Tolkien. Just one more thing. This stupid show got wrong. Oh, one last thing. Galadriel wasn't anywhere near any of these events. She had already traveled east. I think you meant east.
I know.
Through Khazad-dûm with her daughter long before the war even started. And then here's some art of Rivendell.
Yeah. That's spot on from what I remember.
So
yeah.
Yep. It's
they butchered that too.
They did. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I was last week. So this show has actually made me question stuff where I'm like, wait a minute, when did this happen canonically? Like, what was the timeline? Because I don't actually, like, this show makes me gaslight myself. I'm like, wait, did that happen before or did that happen after? Like, should that be happening now? And then you get Celebrimbor is literally forging the 9 while the siege of Eregion is happening. Like,
during the battle.
They condense this down so much. It's just like it's mind-blowing how bad this is, how deliberately awful this is. But on that note, guys, the show is absolute trash. It desecrates Tolkien's canon. It doesn't care. But the good news, this is not going to affect Tolkien's legacy at all. Tolkien's legacy is forever cemented. We have the books. We have the Jackson trilogy. We have Peter Jackson's trilogy. We even have the Hobbit films, which after this are a freaking.
I can scare you a bit, though.
No, I don't want to be scared.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because this could be reality.
What?
The Tolkien twats, the grandchildren. What if they allow Tolkien's books to be edited for a modern audience?
You actually can't do that legally in the UK. You actually cannot do that. Yes. So that was a battle that had already been fought. This is one of the few times where
they actually tried it.
Not Tolkien stuff. They tried to gosh, what's the
well they've done it with Agatha Christie.
Yeah. No. But that's different. Like what you're talking about. So that is editions. Like you're like it's an updated edition of Agatha Christie. What you are talking about is not possible because no other additions like outside of cover changes can be made to Tolkien's works. And this was decided after, oh my God, what is the story? He's
that is a huge
he's
relief,
hunting though. He's hunting the Beowulf. They tried to that's when that whole thing kicked off. But on that note, we can talk about that another time. But on all of that unhappy note, the one to take away from this is that Tolkien's legacy is cemented. This is going to get laughed out of existence, as it already is. And I think especially after that Hollywood Reporter article, I think we can all agree that season 3 is definitely on the chopping block. For sure. But we are going to call it a night, guys. The final episode is an absolute travesty. Nothing happens that we didn't already know. Like that it's a slog. It's not paced well. There isn't anything that we can do. And like that like it's a terrible show. It's terribly written, it's terribly produced, it's terrible everything. And not in the like it's funny kind of way, in the they obviously had malicious intent when they made this. But I want to say thank you to everybody who was here. This was awesome. And I will let my guests outro themselves. Stieg, go ahead. Tell the fine people where they can find you.
On Twitter, which I mostly use to piss on shills with.
Yep.
But Wednesday, I'm going to be on with Jade Shadow on YouTube, Mara. This is another huge Tolkien fan. We're doing our own personal top 10 movies from 1992.
Very nice.
So not the best ones, just favorites. So a lot of them might be crap, but they're certainly better than Rings of Power.
The good kind of crap. All right. Thanks, Stieg. I was always.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, and hiking Feanor too.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
He outranks me because he's a king, and I'm just a lord.
Oh, there you go. I'm just a lady. So, all right. And speaking of Mr. High King Feanor, if you guys don't follow him on Twitter, you absolutely on X, I should say, you absolutely should. High King Feanor, where can they find you? I'm subbed to your YouTube channel, by the way.
Awesome. And I should finally have content out by next week. I should. What I was going to say though is, for in the meantime, follow me on Twitter X at Lost History 9. It's High King Feanor, Alpha Chat of Middle Earth. I'm pretty easy to find. And what I was going to say is, I have a live stream coming up tomorrow with a YouTuber by the name of the Nerdporial Lifeform, and me and him are going to be talking about this disaster. And then Sunday live on X, there is going to be a Rings of Power fan versus the High King Feanor debate about the efficacy of the lore and how bad Rings of Power is. So stay tuned for that. I will be live on Twitter Spaces, X Spaces, whatever we're calling it these days, and there will be a nice friendly discussion about these topics with somebody who vehemently disagrees with me. So
it's basically Rocky versus Mini-Me.
Well, we'll see. From what I've gathered about this particular individual, they do actually know quite a bit about the lore. They've been on the Prancing Pony podcast and a few other things, just chatting it up with people. And apparently they're like an actual like reasonable person. So, it should be make for an interesting discussion. We'll see how it goes.
I look forward to it. Hopefully I can catch it live. And yeah, guys, make sure you buy your ticket. As always, chat, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. It really does mean a lot. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys continue to just blow my mind with your generosity and your knowledge. Keep me humble and keep me sane as well as we go through this insanity that is modern Hollywood. But I hope that you guys enjoyed tonight's stream. It was a lot of fun for me. I finally got to talk with High King Feanor, so that was really cool. And of course, our good buddy Stieg, who has made appearances on the channel before. Always a good time. Now that Rings of Power is over, I'll probably be doing my normal nostalgic Nirvanas on Thursdays. Thank God. But I did want to say thank you so much to everybody that is here, for supporting the channel, for checking this out, for standing up against the insanity that is currently going on. And you remain undefeated, and I absolutely love and adore you, chat. So, as always, much love. God bless. Godspeed. And I will talk to all of you later. Have a fantastic
Bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like